Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge India. In today's tutorial we are going to cover some of the very important concepts of ASP.NET. The concepts which involve storing data variables across various pages, across the whole application. How do we do that in ASP.NET? We are going to cover those things. Okay, so to give you a quick overview, we will be covering Viewstate, QueryString, cookies, session, and the page postback here. Okay, so I've written down a small code here to explain you things. This is a simple web page where you can see a text box and a button, second text box and a second button. Now I'll be covering Viewstate first. So what happens in this architecture whenever there is this ASP.NET application? Say a page load happens, you have a fresh page, this page loads up, and after that the user enters here some value, he presses this button. On the press of this button, maybe you want to execute some logic, you want to call a function, and want to process the data which he entered, and you will get some value, the result of that function. Now based on that result, you would like to you would like to conditionally take the next input from him, or maybe you would like to skip it. Okay, and then you will be able to give him the final result. This is simple workflow. Now what happens is, the user writes a data here, he presses this button, it's fine, it gets calculated, but after that that data would get lost, because if you are going to save it by creating a variable here, suppose if you create a variable here, say int say p result, if you are gonna create this variable here and you allot that result to this variable, you won't be having it on the click of your second button. Okay, it would be lost, because during various postbacks, or when the page gets posted to the server, these values go away. So if you want to retain some value across the various postbacks, you need to use Viewstate. Now don't get worried, I'll explain you whether we'll run this and we'll give you a simple. Now this is the first text box, then this button. Second text box is by default invisible. I've turned it visible equal to false, and then the second button and label 2, which would actually show our final result. Now I have written that on the press of this button, if the result of the function which I am going to call, okay, so I have written just some function which I have named as complex function, and I would pass this value, whatever data the user enters in the first text box, I would be passing that value to this function, and then that result, the result which this function gives me, that I am going to save it in a Viewstate variable. This is the way you can save it. Just write Viewstate, define a name for it, just give it a key and within square brackets, and make sure that you have converted your right hand side to string, because Viewstate variable would save it in string format only. After that, what I do, I am just comparing if this result is greater than 50, I would be making the next text box visible. If it is lesser than 50, I will it will remain invisible itself. And then on the press of this second button, I'm going to check if the text in this text box is nothing, I'm going to put the value default user, and I would concatenate it with the value which was there in the Viewstate variable, or else in the other case I would take whatever user has entered in the second text box and I would concatenate it with the Viewstate variable. So that pretty simple. Okay, now here it is. I'm going to press a 4 first. You saw something here. Earlier it was written it is a fresh page load. Now it is written yes postback. I'll come to this, but just let me explain you first. Now I've pressed this 4 just 16, so it is less than 50. That's why this text box hasn't come up. Now I'm going to press this. See, default user 16. Right now, again, what I've done, I've just reloaded this page. I mean, this is basically a fresh page load. I went to the URL, press entered, I requested it totally new from the server. That's why this label says it's a new page load. What I've done for this label is simple, just it's a plain simple label, and in the page load, what I'm doing is I'm just checking this property. This is a property of the page, which is a boolean property, is postback. If it is true, I'm saying yes postback. If it is false, I would say it's a new page load. So friends, you need to understand this thing here, this concept of postback. When do you address a postback? What happens whenever, because of some control on your web page, this page gets posted to the server. Okay, that time this property becomes true, because that time when the page will get loaded again, it won't be a completely fresh load. It hasn't come directly by typing the URL and pressing the enter. Rather, it got posted to the server because of some action which happened on this page. What I'm trying to say is, if I write google.com, okay, say google.co.in, this got loaded. Now this is a fresh page which got loaded. Okay, but suppose if I write here something hello, okay, and then after that I press this button, there's a postback happening. I mean, here I write something hello, this is a nice work, and then I press this button. So what happens is, because of the press of this button, this page went back, got posted to the server, and then came back. So now this time this postback is true. This is what you need to understand. So what happens is, during this, when say first time this page got loaded and again it went back, then during these postbacks, the values of the variables, that data gets lost. So to keep that intact, this Viewstate helps us. You might ask that actually at what place this Viewstate data is getting it's getting saved. I mean, whatever this 16, say if I write here 8 and I press this thing, so somewhere 64 is saved. So only if I'm writing here say John and I press this, I would get John 64. Somewhere the 64 was there. You may ask that where it is. It's simple. Come here, do a right click, see the source of your page. Always in your let me bring it for you. View wrap long lines. Okay, now see here, you can see you have a on control here, input type is hidden, which is hidden type, so won't be visible to you, and its name is Viewstate, ID is underscore Viewstate, and then there is a value. This is some encrypted value. So this is what ASP.NET does. It would take the, I mean, whatever view state variables you are using, it would take the value of all that, and you know, it would encrypt and keep in, and it would keep it in this way, in a hidden variable it would keep. So what happens, this page gets posted to the server, and again when it comes back, this thing remains there. So whenever, I mean, even if the next time you want to execute some code, the ASP.NET would be able to extract it from here and would be able to add it. Okay, whereas if you would have saved it, say, in this thing, it would have gone across the postback. Okay, now I've written here something. You need to understand one thing, that Viewstate would help you to, you know, to save data or to keep the data only on one page. So what I'm meaning here is, if you save something in this Viewstate v1, okay, Viewstate variable v1, you'll, on the page default.aspx, you'll be able to retrieve it only on this page. Don't think that you can go to, you know, default2.aspx and there you can write Viewstate v1.toString and you would get something. No, you would not. Understood? So it's basically, it works on one page across postback. How many ever postbacks happen, it would work on one page. So that's the Viewstate. The next one is QueryString, one of the wonderful mechanisms and very important from search engine optimization point of view also. You can make your web pages do wonders just, you know, by changing the query strings on it. So what happens, that using query string, what you do, say you have the first page default.aspx and you want to pass some variable or, you know, some data to the next page, which is, say, default2.aspx. So what it would do, say if you want to pass the name of a website, say Knowledge India, so it would take this variable Knowledge India, I mean this data Knowledge India, as a part of its URL. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, let me just quickly drop a button here. Okay, I will rename it as QS button, QueryString button, right? Okay, I'll do a double click. Now what I'm going to write is, I will take that response dot redirect default dot aspx So nothing very, you know, oh sorry, I have written here default, should be default 2. Okay, I'll write default 3. Okay, so on the press of this button, what would happen, that on the press of this QS button, whatever is written in this text box, it would take that and it would make this URL, it would make this URL default3.aspx question mark key is equal to then this data, and then you need to know how are you going to retrieve this, how are you going to, you know, extract this data on the target page. So let me just add this new page default3.aspx. okay, good. I'm going to add a label here. Okay, so by default its text is label. I'm leaving it as such, and I would go to its code. In the page load, what I would do is label one.text is equal to request. So you have to use request object dot our query string will be in this. Then you need to, it asks for int index or the string name. So I just want to make it clear to you that as we wrote here question mark, so basically this part before question mark, it is the name of the page. So it is default3.spx, it is the name of a page, and then after the question mark it starts, you know, the key pair values. This is the first key and its value would come, and after that if you want you can even add next one. So say just for example I'm doing it plus. Now ampersand is the ampersand acts as the separator between, you know, between different keys. So I've put ampersand and then say name, say I would say do action is equal to display. Okay, cool. Now using this I am passing now two values to default3.spx. First one would be the text which was written in the first text box. Another one would be, I've just hard coded it. You can, you know, send whatever you want, even through code, whatever you want you can send from here. Now we are gonna catch it here. So key the start to string, but say I can do something like action to string is equal to display, then do this. Okay, so that's all. So what I'm saying is from the URL take out the value which is there for the key action. Okay, from the query string take it out. If it is display, then make the text of label 1 the value which is there for the key. Okay, so this is how you get it. Request dot query string within square brackets pass the name of the query string key which you have specified. You can also, you know, you can even pass the index. That's what I wanted to explain you. Oh, I'm sorry. Say pay attention. So there are two things. You can even do int index or the string name. So if you want, you can even give index. If you want to give index, you need to start it from 0. Okay, so suppose if you have to do the same thing using index, what you would do for key, the index would be 0, for action the index would be 1. That's all. So you can write here query string without double quotes 1, and here query string without double quotes 0, and it would work the same way. So without wasting any more time, I would just run this. Okay, fine. I'm gonna write here videos, and I'm going to press this QS button. Now see what has happened. See this URL, you have default3.spx, key is equal to videos, and action is equal to display. So instead of that label, which if you remember, that text videos has come here. Okay, now I would just come and show you the same thing using the index also quickly. There I've put 1, I've put 0. Okay, I'm going to, again I'm on this page. This time I'm gonna write say tutorials, and I'm going to press QS button. See, key is equal to tutorials, action is equal to display. Again it works the same way. So I hope you understood that in what way this query string works. So but one thing you need to understand, when it comes to view state, the data would remain on the same page across various postbacks. You can keep it. Whereas query string you would use when you have to pass data from one page to the another page. But you need to understand that your data would be available only on the targeted page. So like in the current example which I showed you, your starting page was the page which was sending the data was default.aspx, and the page to which data was sent was default3.aspx. okay, default3.aspx. so these values would be available only on this page, because it has been sent in the URL to this page only. If you open some other page, say default2.aspx, or say some other home.aspx here, you won't be able to get these values, because it won't be available there as such. It's simple, it's available only here in the URL. So what happens, using query string you can send the data, or the data would be accessible only on the targeted page. Now, and again the same question I had explained you in Viewstate variable, where it gets saved in the in a hidden variable. I showed you it gets saved there. In case of query string, the data will be there in the URL. Now people would want, and there is always a need, that boss, I want to access the data in all my application. I just want that I set it at one place, and then on any page I should be able to access that data. To address that, we have cookies and session. Fine. So we are clear here that Viewstate would enable us to save it on the same page, query string only on the targeted page, whereas cookies and session would allow us to access the data on all the pages across our application. Okay, now how are we going to use that? We'll see. For cookies, I would use again our same page, and what I'm gonna do is something I would write here, and then I would press this button. I would set that, I would save that value in a cookie, and I will show you that how am I gonna retrieve it on some other page, on a totally different page. Okay, now what I would do, I would just comment this and uncomment this. So response.cookies name, whatever name you wanna give, dot value is equal to textbox1.text. So what I did, simply I just took the value whatever there was there here, and I saved it in a cookie with the name. Okay, and next thing is, how am I gonna retrieve it on some other page? So I already have a page, default2.aspx, where you can see it's written hello Mr. and then a label which is which doesn't have any text. What I'm doing, that in this page load of this default2, I am just reading the value from that cookie name, and I'm allotting it to that label. Okay, so if everything goes fine, whatever I write here should ideally come here. Okay, let's see. I'm going to write here Steve, and I press this. It's done. I would come to this page and I would say view in browser. Hello Mr. Steve. It's that much simple. Quickly I'll also show you how to do that, how to do the same thing with session. It's simple. You have to just write session, again square brackets. I would prefer to go by the name thing, though you can also do index here, but I would prefer to go with name. So I'm saying say emp name, okay, is equal to text box 1.text. I'm just commenting this one. And what difference you will have to do here, session, it's simple. That's the beauty of ASP.NET. That's all. Again, it would work the same way. I'm doing view in browser, page comes up. This time I write here Mr. Bill Gates. Fast, it's done. Would come to 2. I would say view in browser, hello Mr. Bill Gates. Okay, now both did the same thing, even the session, even the cookie. Then what is the difference? I mean, why do these two exist separately, different? So we need to understand that, of course, both of them can save the data. Both of them, I mean, you can access the data across the whole application, but the place where they get saved or they get stored is different. A session variable gets saved on your server, whereas the cookies get saved on client machine. Okay, now there are different types of cookies. There are temporary cookies, there are permanent cookies. Cookies generally get written in your browser cache, or even on your hard disk, if in case they are permanent cookie. Now you need to understand one thing very properly here, that in what situation should you go for cookie and when should you prefer session. So you need to do a fair usage of session variables. If you use a lot of session variables in your application, then of course it's gonna stress your server a lot and your application would become slow. So some of the key values which are important, and probably I would say which needs to be more secure, keep those values in the session variable, because it would be saved on session. So the chances of those values getting tampered or getting hijacked, the chances would be quite less. Whereas cookies, they are saved in just like small files on the client machine, so it's easy to find those files and to open and see the values. Even somebody else can see the cookies which were saved on your machine when you were doing browsing. So some data which is not that confidential, you can save that in cookies, whereas some of the key data which is really confidential and you don't want to get it tampered in any way, or you don't want to get it revealed to other person, please save those in the session variable. One more thing which you need to understand is when this session variable gets formed. So what happens is, say I have this Firefox open here, okay, and I would open up, say, Facebook. As soon as I open this website, now a session is formed for my browser on this website. Okay, so if I log in here with my ID and password, even if I open other tabs in the same browser, if I open other tabs and I would write facebook.com, it would get recognized as the request coming from the same user, because it is up to the browser level. I mean, a session gets formed at the browser level. So how many other tabs I open, I would remain as the same user, to that website. Now suppose if I have another Facebook account and I want to open that also parallelly, I'll have to use another browser. Say I would open up Chrome and I'll open Facebook in that, and here I can I can just put the my next email ID password, and I can keep using it. So as soon as you open up a browser and you connect to a website, a session variable gets created for you on the server, and as soon as you close this browser window, that session variable gets deleted automatically. Okay, so you need to understand one thing very clearly, that when I am using this session variable emp name on this web page, and suppose 1000 people are going to open up this web page, that means 1000 instances or 1000 copies of this session variable would get made, for one for every user, okay, or one for each visitor, I should say. And this session variable would remain live up to the time their browser window is open. Once they close their browser window, it automatically would get deleted. Okay, so I hope you would have liked it and you would have understood it. In case of any doubts, please do comment and like this video. Let me know your feedbacks. Thank you.